And take 14. Got interrupted by a telephone call. Anyway, seems like yesterday I was just talking about the class from last year. And by the way, they were easy. They were easy. This year's class has been a little bit more difficult. Couple of thoughts before I get started. You guys have impressed me. Sad to see you go. I think you're all going to do very well if you continue to practice medicine like you have been taught, and keep your nose to the grindstone, and just do what's right. Wow, and just do what's right. Lindy Hong, you're the easiest of the bunch, so I'm going to start with you. You know, one thing I remember about you was your parents were coming to visit one summer. I can't remember when it was. I think it's when you were second year. But anyway, you were trying to put together plans for their visit. And, you know, I like to hear you talk about it and what you're going to have them do and plan and everything. But one thing just split my gut. I'm telling you, it was hilarious. You were planning to take your parents crabbing. And I don't know if you've ever been crabbing or not, but damn, that's a nasty, nasty little activity. Because usually you do it when the tide is low, and so all the little mud flats are exposed and they smell like crap. It's hotter than 40, you know what. You're usually under some bridge. You're in the marshes. You get nasty. And for what? You take home usually nothing. But that was just one of the most hilarious things. I could just see your mom throwing out that string with a piece of rotten chicken on the end of it into the water, wondering what the hell she was going to pull up. But that's good. You keep planning, okay? You keep planning, because at least you got an imagination about that. The second thing about you, Lindy, is sometimes I don't know who I'm talking to. Like when you're presenting a patient and you have your serious face on and you're going through the history and physical and your plan and everything, and then all of a sudden you go, you change faces and I'm like, who the hell is that? Where did that come from? I'm like, whoa, we got split personality here. We're doing multiple personality disorder. Anyway, I would suggest you pick one or the other and go with it when you go back to California, because people are going to wonder what the hell is going on. Coonrod. You are the reason that I don't scrub a lot with residents doing surgery. And it's not because I think you guys all know what you're doing or I trust all you guys or everything. But that time when you came to my office and told me you would slice Gajewski's finger with a scalpel, I said, that's it. No mas. Not putting my fingers in there to get whacked on. Oh, the other thing, you know, when I was growing up, you know, Denver or Colorado was a state of mind. John Denver, you know, he sang all those songs about Colorado and Rocky Mountain High and all that good stuff. Well, little did he know that Colorado was going to be one of the leading states to legalize marijuana. And I've been thinking about, you know, is it still a state of mind? It's got to be. Maybe an altered state of mind, Colorado. But, you know, you're going back to a state where it's legal to smoke pot, and then you're going to Loveland. Well, John Denver used to talk about love, sex, dope, peace. And you got 2 out of the 4 right there where you're going. I don't know about the others, but I just worry. Be careful. you might be going to Woodstock. I don't know. But anyway, on to Julia. Julia, I'm glad you're kind of sticking around because you've traveled during your education. What interested me was the fact that you went to Loma Linda University Medical School. I'm sure you know a lot about Loma Linda. Loma Linda's, a large population of their citizens are Seventh-day Adventists, and they built the university, obviously. And, they have a kind of a cultish life, too. And they have a way of life that they think that they live longer in Loma Linda. And I see correlations with Colorado here in Loma Linda, kind of cultish now. It's kind of dangerous. Although Loma Linda folks, they say eat little meat, eat lots of plants, hang out with like people, drink plenty of water, keep your BMI low, exercise, think positive, and surprisingly, the citizens of Loma Linda actually do per capita live a little bit longer. So, I don't know your reason to stay here, but I'd take my rear end right back to Loma Linda, assimilate into the population, whether it's a cult or not. Another thing about Julia, none of you know, but back when the U.S. Open was in Pinehurst, it was in 2013. I think. Anyway, Julia's husband went to Pinehurst to play in a qualifying round at one of my buddies, where he's the director of golf, one of the golf courses there in Pinehurst. And so he played with my son, and unfortunately he didn't make the cut to get into the Open, but he stayed at my house. And it wasn't long after that, got a call from Daryl and said, we're in town, I'd like to come by and pick up my pillow. And I'm thinking, what? So anyway, Julian and Daryl came by, and he had this damn pillow that he had left there when he came to spend the night. But Julia, honey, I think, I know Landon, he's probably 4 now and is a handful, but Daryl and his pillow, and I don't know if he has a blankie or not, but you got your hands full. And starting to work here in a couple of weeks in private practice, you're going to be busy. I don't know about those 2 boys. They might not be able to make it without you. But anyway, enough said, enough roasting. Again, you guys are a great group, and you'll all do well, and I hope you stay in touch. This last week, last Friday night, we learned of Muhammad Ali's passing. And I've always been a fan of his and think he's probably the greatest fighter that ever was. He'll tell you that, or did tell you that. But he's also a very positive person and a likable person and a philosopher. And I want to quote one of his most quoted renditions, which says, "Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they have been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing." Please remember that as you grow up and enter your career and make us all proud. And I'm going to close with a little story. Some of you may have heard this, and if you had, just humor me and listen it out. But it's pretty good advice, too. There was this little bird. He was flying around Chicago. It was in summer, and he was having a great time. And, he was hanging out, and, they were having fun flying around Chicago, hanging out at the Wrigley Field and on Michigan Avenue and down by the lake and everything. And time moved on, and as would have it, the fall approached, and you could start to feel a little coolness in the air. And that's a time that, instincts tell birds it's time to fly south. But little fella, he decided he was having too much fun, and with all the birds leaving and flying south, there were a lot more food on the street, and he could just pig out. So he hung around Chicago, flying around, having a good time, and it got cooler. And then, as fate would have it, the next day, some cold air blew across from the plains of Canada, across Lake Michigan, and some ice started to fall. And he realized it was time to hightail it.